When thinking about what stakeholders are most likely to make a digital transformation successful, it's easy to think about the project managers, the executive stakeholders, the outside consultants, the system integrators. But in reality, HR is the unsung hero in a successful digital transformation, and I'm going to talk about that here today. My name is Eric Kimberling. I'm the CEO of Third Stage Consulting. We're an independent consulting firm that helps clients throughout the world with their digital transformation journeys. And like I said at the top of the video, it's easy to think about all the different parties that will make your project successful. Most of us think about the project managers, the executive sponsor, the executive steering committee, the system integrators, the consultants, everyone internally that could help support the project. But oftentimes we don't think enough about human resources in the HR department and the role they can and should play in a successful digital transformation. So what I want to talk about today are the reasons why this is so important. And even if you're not part of an HR department, if you're an executive sponsor or a project team member, hopefully this will give you some ideas on how to better engage with and partner with your HR department to make your transformation successful. Now, the first way that HR can really enable a successful digital transformation is to help address the problem that many digital transformations have, which is not enough resources supporting the project. And the key to this is we want our A players, our top performers within the organization, the ones that have been around, they understand the business, but they also see the vision of how the business could be improved in the future. Those are the people that you want on your digital transformation core team and the subject matter experts supporting that core team. However, those people are usually the hardest ones to get because they're in high demand in other parts of the business. So this is where your HR department can really help. It can help define a vision of how to engage those people, how to backfill those people, how to identify the right team to support the overall project. And for that reason, it's important to work with your HR department and make sure that you're partnering with your HR department to realize that vision. So whether you're looking for internal resources and or external resources to support your project, really think about how you can partner with HR in this way. If you've watched any of my videos or read any of my blogs, you know that I'm a big proponent of organizational change management. Change management is oftentimes the thing that gets overlooked and the thing that derails implementations. And one of the specific areas that change management is so critical that HR can help with is defining what the future state skills and competencies are within your organization. So in other words, we're not just deploying technologies, we're deploying a new operating model, a new organizational design, a new way of doing business. And to do that and to achieve that, we don't just need new technology, we need people with the right skill sets to use the technology, but also to enable other business processes and new ways of thinking and support new culture, new operating models, all that good stuff. And HR should absolutely be involved in helping define what that future state vision is in terms of organizational design, job skills, jobs, roles and responsibilities. All that stuff needs to be clearly defined, and the better you define that, the easier change management is going to be along the way. Now, this is partially related to training and communications, which I'm going to come back to the whole concept of change management and how HR can support change management. But it's not just about training and communications. It's also about making sure that you're enabling the skill sets and getting them the competencies they need to support the business model going forward. And so this could require other types of learning and development and cultural advancements within your organization to ensure that your project is successful and your organization is successful longer term. Now, when going through a digital transformation, it's oftentimes referred to as a marathon rather than a sprint. Typically, transformations are long-term endeavors. You have people that are trying to juggle multiple jobs at the same time. They're trying to support a digital transformation, and people tend to get burned out. And if you don't treat them well, if you don't have a good plan to rotate team members in and out and to compensate and reward those team members, you're not going to get the best of them and you're not going to get the focus and dedication you need to make the transformation successful. So this is another area where HR can leverage its strengths, and you can really draw on your HR department and those people within HR that are trained and focused on helping ensure that people are motivated and they eliminate or mitigate the risks of burnout along the way. So from just a pure project staffing and a project morale and an ongoing level of commitment to the project, your HR department can enable that along the way. Now, I talked earlier about how HR can support new skills and competencies within the organization. And similar to that is also defining what the change impact to the organization might be. So yes, there's going to be new skills, new competencies we need, but it's also going to entail new roles and responsibilities for people. Their jobs are going to change. They are probably going to automate parts of their jobs. Things they're doing in manual spreadsheets now are going to get automated, and they might have new roles that are added to their plate or replacing some of those manual processes that are now being automated. So it's important to make sure that you have a clear vision of what that future state job design is going to look like, and that you clearly articulate in a targeted way how different parts of your organization and different work groups and teams within your organization are going to be impacted that's specific to them. And HR is instrumental, or should be instrumental, in helping define what that future state organizational vision is. And again, it gets back to playing to people's strengths. And HR's strength is typically organizational design, culture, learning and development, all those things that can really enable some of the things we're trying to accomplish in our digital transformations. So that's another reason why you want to make sure that you have HR involved in your digital transformation and supporting it, is to help define what that future state organizational model is going to be and how jobs are going to change, so that ultimately you can build a change management plan and strategy that supports those changes. Some of the best candidates for an organizational change team that I've seen in my career internally within an organization is the HR department. You typically will have people within the HR department that are focused on more of the people aspect of their careers, and hopefully they're focused on the people aspect because that's what their job is to do. And so you want that human-centric mentality to focus on organizational change management. And those can be great candidates, even if they've never done formal change management or they've never done a proper digital transformation in the past. Those skill sets are very transferable from HR over to what we need to make our digital transformation successful on the people side of the equation. So helping execute, and not only execute change strategies, but to define what those change strategies are, largely based on those change impacts and changes to skills and competencies that I had talked about earlier, that's very critical that we have the HR department involved, and this could be a great way to leverage those internal competencies and strengths that people within the HR department might have. So when you're looking for change management support, yes, it's important to look for outside consultants that specialize in change management, have methodologies and tool sets and frameworks to help, but you also want to partner those outside consultants with your HR department and others like that that can help enable those change strategies. Now, if you really want to be successful in digital transformation long-term and also mitigate some of the headwinds that transformations often experience, you want to focus on culture and look at how culture might hold you back from achieving your goals and objectives, and look at how you might transform your culture to further enable the transformation you're trying to go through. And this is where HR can help. HR is used to measuring employee engagement and employee morale and other things that feed into culture. And so having a formal assessment of your current state culture, what you want your culture to evolve into in the future as part of the transformation, and how you might mitigate some of the cultural nuances and pitfalls along the way is absolutely critical. And this is another natural fit oftentimes for HR professionals, is to have HR involved in defining what that future state culture is, helping articulate what the current culture is and what its strengths and weaknesses are, as well as how we're going to change to the cultural state in the future. And one thing I'll mention as a side note is that culture in general oftentimes gets overlooked. Just like change management in general, the cultural component of organizational change management is very frequently overlooked, and oftentimes, more often than not, it's completely overlooked and not even considered as part of a digital transformation. However, in order to be successful, you absolutely want to address culture because that is a critical part of this whole thing. So leverage your HR department within the cultural piece of it. That's going to be something that suits you well along the way. Now, oftentimes when we're thinking about inclusion and diversity, just in general within HR, we're oftentimes thinking about things like gender and race, socioeconomic status, and making sure we have an inclusive environment for these different types of people. That's very important, and that's also important for digital transformation, not just in terms of gender, race, or other factors, but just in general. How do we include more people in our transformation so these changes aren't happening to them, but they become part of the change? And so HR can really piggyback on this whole trend towards diversity and inclusion and use the digital transformation as a way to further enable those goals and objectives. So if this is something that's a priority to you as an HR department or to you as an organization, this can be a great way to kill two birds with the same stone and make diversity and inclusion part of your overall digital transformation and really help them feed off one another. So I hope this has given you some tips and guidance on how to make your overall transformation successful, as well as, in particular, how to address the organizational change components and the people, human components of your transformation. And what better group to help you with the change management components of your transformation than your HR department. So these are just a few tips to help you along the way. I've also included links below to a number of resources that are meant to help you and provide additional details and best practices. One in particular that I've included links to is a download of our Guide to Organizational Change Management. I've included a link to that below, as well as a link to our annual digital transformation report, which provides general best practices for making your digital transformation successful. I encourage you to check out those two links below, as well as other resources I've included links to in the description of this video. So I hope you found this information useful and hope you have a great day.